Good afternoon. Police are providing an update on a collision in Scarborough that claimed the life of a 29-year-old woman this morning. Let's listen live.
Responded to calls for personal injury collision at the intersection of Birchmount Rd near McNicoll Avenue. Callers reported that there was a two-vehicle collision involving a motorcycle and a minivan. The motorcycle was being driven by a 29-year-old female who sustained life-threatening injuries as a result of this collision. The driver of the minivan did remain on scene. As I mentioned, police attended with Toronto Fire Services and Toronto Paramedic Services and gave emergency medical care to the female motorcyclist. She was subsequently transported to a local hospital via emergency run. I can tell you very sadly that the female motorist has succumbed to her injuries and has been pronounced deceased at the hospital. This is the 12th motor vehicle collision death that we've had in Toronto this year. Our traffic services unit is on scene conducting the investigation. You can see that going on behind me here. We are speaking with witnesses and gathering as much information as we can. We are asking that anyone who may have witnessed this collision, who have not had a chance to speak to investigators, to please do so. Also, if anyone has any dash cam footage from the area at the hour this took place, again, that was 7:30 this morning, to please contact investigators. You can do that by calling traffic services at 416-808-1900-1900, or if you wish to remain anonymous, you can call 222-TIPS, or the number 416-222-TIPS, excuse me. That's all I have. Any questions I can take right now?
Anyone in the minivan other than the driver?
No.
So just a
lone occupant, which was the driver.
Man, woman?
Woman.
Remained on scene?
Yes.
How old?
I don't know.
Do you have any witnesses? I think it's a fairly busy time of the morning. Were there anybody else, any other motorists stopping?
I don't know if anyone stopped. Certainly we are looking for witnesses and canvassing the area for video. Again, if anybody did see this occur, please contact us at the numbers I gave you, 416-808-1900 or 416-222-TIPS.
You mentioned it happened at McNicoll, which is behind us. But we
No, in the area of McNicoll.
Okay. So,
yeah.
So it happened in the intersection?
Yes.
Can you give us a sense, was the motorcyclist turning? Were they going straight? Was where the driver was headed?
That's being investigated right now, and it appears that the motorcyclist was heading southbound.
On Birchmount or?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the van was?
I don't know at this time. That's under investigation as we speak.
Are these people who live in the area?
I don't know.
You're listening to a live news conference. Police updating a tragic incident this morning. A 29-year-old motorcyclist has died, a female, after a collision involving a minivan. This happened at Birchmount and McNicoll area. You can see the road is blocked off. There's police tape. This is definitely an area to avoid at this hour as the investigation continues. They're not quite sure exactly what happened yet. Certainly canvassing for witnesses and trying to get more information. And we'll continue to follow this developing story. And there is more tragic news to share this hour. A 6-year-old girl is dead after falling from an apartment building in North York last night.
She fell from a high-rise on Chalkfarm Drive, and now both police and neighbors are searching for answers. CTV's Janice Golding is following the investigation and joins us live with more. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, residents in this area are expressing both sadness and disbelief this morning after a little girl fell from the top floor of this building behind us. Now, they tell us it was just 8:15 last night when the little girl fell from a 28th floor unit in this building at Chalkfarm and Jane. Investigators say the girl somehow dropped out of a bedroom window. Originally, police were called to the area for a report of unknown trouble, and when they arrived, they located the child who was deceased on the grass on the south side of her building.
It's crazy that I'll never see this child again coming on my bus. I see her every morning, so it's very, very sad.
I'm devastated. This never happened before, and yeah, I grew up here, so it's just weird to see. And I live on this side, so it's just heartbreaking, and I feel for the family.
Old, so when I heard the age of little girl, that made me feel really sad, to be honest.
Police say that the incident does not appear suspicious, but the investigation continues. Reporting live from Janice Golding. Now back to Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. We have developing news this hour from Mississauga, where police are investigating a murder that occurred near the 401 and 403. According to Peel Regional Police, they were called to Kennedy and Matheson Road, that area, just after 8:30 this morning. When they arrived, they found a man with signs of trauma. He died at the scene. Investigators say the suspect or suspects took off, but they believe the murder was targeted.
2 people were treated for smoke inhalation following a house fire in Etobicoke. Flames broke out just after midnight at a home in the area of Dundas and the West Mall. Toronto Fire says crews were able to quickly knock down the fire and prevent it from spreading. 2 people were treated for smoke inhalation there at the scene. The cause of this fire is still being investigated.
A 14-year-old boy wanted in connection with a deadly shooting at Hamilton's Jackson Square Mall on Friday has surrendered to police. The teen is charged with second-degree murder in the death of 16-year-old Nabil Askafi. Investigators say Askafi was involved in an altercation before being shot. Hamilton police say the teenage suspect surrendered yesterday. Investigators say they're not looking for any additional suspects. And police are offering a $25,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of a suspect wanted in a series of robberies, including the shooting of a security guard at Fairview Mall earlier this month. Police have released this video of the series of robberies, which date back to September of 2023. 53-year-old Kyle Douglas Prouse of Montreal has been identified as the suspect in all the incidents. The last incident happened April 21st, in which Prouse allegedly shot a security guard at Fairview Mall following a robbery. The security guard suffered serious injuries. Prouse was last seen in a black Honda Accord.
Anyone who is assisting him, harboring him, or helping him avoid arrest may face criminal charges. This is a serious offense. If you have information, now is the time to come forward. And to you, Mr. Prouse, directly, the safest and smartest thing you can do is contact a lawyer and turn yourself into police. If you see Kyle Douglas Prouse, do not approach him. Call 911 immediately. If you have information, no matter how small it may seem, please contact Toronto Police or Crime Stoppers anonymously.
Police say the $25,000 reward is time-sensitive and will remain available until Tuesday, June 20th.
The man accused of dangerous driving in a crash that killed a father of 3 is making a court appearance today. The judge-alone trial of Jaywin Kirubanathan is being held in Newmarket. He is set to plead guilty to multiple charges. He is accused of striking a vehicle carrying Andrew Castillo and his family on Highway 48 last August. Castillo was killed in the crash while his wife and 3 children were injured. Kirubanathan is also involved in a crash the year before, striking a vehicle carrying Premier Doug Ford on the 401. The Premier has moved to support what the family calls Andrew's Law, which would immediately suspend the license of anyone charged with dangerous driving. They spoke outside the courthouse this morning.
What happened to him should have been preventable and exposed a big gap in our system, and that's what we're closing with Andrew's Law. Our Premier, Doug Ford, even referred to this as it wasn't an accident, it was murder. When you understand the recklessness, the conscious actions of the accused, it just further shows how much we need justice and how much our system has failed us.
Andrew's Law would also see lifetime driving bans for multiple convictions of dangerous or impaired driving, mandatory jail time for unlicensed or suspended drivers, and mandatory driver education on impaired and distracted driving for all new drivers and newcomers. Still to come, the latest on the war in the Middle East. Shipping traffic remains blocked in the Strait of Hormuz with no sign of renewed talks between the U.S. and Iran. We'll have those details a little later in the newscast.
The Raptors held serve, winning Game 4 of their first-round playoff series with the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday afternoon.
The win guarantees the series will go to at least 6 games and will return to Toronto. CTV's Sean Leathong has been speaking with fans about the big win and joins us live now with more. Ooh, much better position right now, Sean.
What a difference a few days make, Michelle and Nathan. Raptors fans, when the team was coming down 0-2 back home, were hoping that home court advantage would provide what they needed. They did get it, and the last two games were two different games. If you looked at Game 3, the Raptors had very timely shooting. They seemed to explode in the fourth quarter, getting what they needed. When you look at last night or yesterday afternoon's game, it would almost look like it wasn't the Raptors' day. They just shot 32% from the field, 4 for 10 from three-point range, but they managed to gut it out, get the 93-89 win, doing exactly what they need to do, tying up the series and going back to Cleveland for Wednesday's Game 5. Talking to those Raptors fans today, they say they're feeling pretty good.
Feeling good. I love the spirit. I love their fight.
Yeah, it was kind of almost like a must-win for them yesterday. Rather than going down 3-1, to have it tied 2-2 going back to Cleveland, they put themselves in a good position.
It feels great. I'm like, the city's pumped. This is great. Just we're on a tear right now, so pretty pumped.
So Brendan Ingram and Scotty Barnes each had 23 points yesterday, but mostly the Raptors were able to hit their free throws going down to the wire in the fourth quarter once they took the lead. Raptors coach Darko Rajakovic talked about just how the Raptors gutted out this game.
The grind and the fight that we had, and attention to detail, and rebounding the ball, and everything, that taking care of the ball, all the stuff that we preach night in and night out, that came out in the game tonight. And we just never flinched. We continue just guarding, and we did not shoot the ball. I told our guys at the halftime that it's awesome. We're shooting at the halftime. We were shooting 27% from the field, 15% from the three-point line, and I was lying. I told them that we're going to shoot better in the second half, but we did not. We'll leave that for the next game. But whatever it takes, just find a way to win the game.
So now what it takes is the team going to Cleveland for Game 5 on Wednesday. They will return for Game 6 at the minimum on Friday, hoping they'll return with a 3-2 lead. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leafong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Well, the city has offered a first look at the FIFA Fan Festival.
It comes amid a back and forth with City Council over potential costs for those hoping to attend. CTV's Raheem Ladani has been taking in the sights and sounds and joins us live with more. We all can't wait to see this, Raheem.
Hi, Nathan. Yeah, a lot of people are anticipating a great big party. So far, we still just have renderings about that aforementioned party, but we're told that starting this weekend, we're going to start to see the Fort York National Historic Site start to be transformed into FIFA Fan Fest for a 22-day festival. There are a lot of exciting elements, but there are also still a lot of unanswered questions logistically in terms of how this is all going to work. Let's start with what we do know. We know that, as I mentioned, starting this weekend, we're going to start to see construction crews here turning this into a fun place for family and fans. There's going to be a 40-foot stage here. There are going to be a lot of different zones, a mini soccer pitch. In fact, Cardinal Official is one of the creative geniuses who's behind this, and he's bringing in a lot of his friends and fellow artists to perform. Sean Desmond, Alessia Cara, Bedouin Soundclash, Deborah Cox. They're going to be performing throughout this 22-day fest. So there's going to be a lot of exciting elements, but one of the big questions is getting in and out. We know there's been a lot of controversy around, will this be free? Will this cost people? We do know now that the majority of tickets are going to be free. There are a small portion of premium tickets, which will cost between $100 to $300, but everyone, whether you are paying for a ticket or getting a free ticket, you still do need to secure a ticket on Ticketmaster. That will become available starting on May 6th. One of the unanswered questions right now are in and out privileges. If you show up in the morning and you leave, does your ticket then go back up for someone else to grab, or can you come back in? The city says they are still working on a plan on that front to figure out how that's going to work. Another big question now is this funding shortfall. Because the Fan Fest is now free for the majority of people, there is a $5 million shortfall. We asked the mayor, Olivia Chow, a number of times, have they solved that gap? At this time, they are still looking for partnerships and sponsorships. The city says they will not go over that budget regardless, but they don't have a plan yet in place. We also asked the Minister of Sport of Ontario, a provincial representative who was here today. We asked him if the province will be stepping in to fill that gap. He said no. Have a listen to more from officials today about FanFest and what people can expect.
The performances are curated by Cardinal official himself, and a lineup of artists that captures everything Toronto is. Loud, proud, and unmistakably ours. Families, young people, neighbors, newcomers, doesn't matter who you are, visitors, they are in for a treat. It's something for everyone, all day, every day. And FanFest is free.
This will be a 22-day event, and each and every day will look different. Match schedules, programming, and attendance will vary, so planning has focused on managing crowds safely, moving people through the site efficiently, and ensuring services are in place to deliver a positive fan experience each and every day. As we've seen and heard today, the site will be designed to support this. It will include multiple zones such as viewing areas, a main stage, food and beverage spaces, and family-friendly programming. There will be clearly defined entry points, circulation routes, and wayfinding to help people move through the space and enjoy all that it has to offer.
So as you heard right there, there's a lot of logistics going into getting people in and out of this space efficiently. There will be no on-site parking, and so the city is encouraging everyone to take public transit. And again, whether you have a free ticket or you want to buy a premium ticket, you do need a ticket, and those will go on sale beginning on May 6th. Reporting live, I'm Raheem Ladani. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Raheem. The 501 and 301 Queen streetcars are resuming regular service on Queen between Broadview and Parliament today. It follows successful testing and commissioning of new tracks in the area. Meanwhile, the TTC is preparing for possible job action involving 700 of its electrical and signal workers. The transit agency has requested a no-board report from the Ministry of Labor after QP Local 2 workers voted in favor of strike action. The union says the move raises questions about whether the TTC is focused on bargaining or applying pressure to reach a deal ahead of the World Cup. TTC CEO Mandeep Lally says making the request was the best way to encourage good faith negotiations. And we have more news in a moment, but first, a live look at the city this afternoon. Lots of sunshine, a few clouds, but it's mild, it's feeling good. A really good way to start the work week. Let's bring in Lindsay Morrison with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan. And yes, I encourage everyone to enjoy today because conditions are going to change a little bit as we make our way through this week, both in terms of what it feels like and what it looks like out there. But it's looking nice right now. 16 degrees at Pearson Airport. This is, again, one of those days where you are going to find it a little bit cooler lakeside. For example, it's only 4 degrees by comparison in Oakville. But everybody enjoying the sunshine. We do have a breezy east wind off Lake Ontario today, so that's part of the reason for the fresh feel for some. On the satellite and radar, there isn't much to show you here. A little bit of clouds starting to drape in from the west, but it's fair weather, high-level cloudiness. Beautiful afternoon. 17 degrees is what we're forecasting. Tomorrow, we see a change in condition with some showers and the risk of a thunderstorm. And then later this week, it's going to feel a little chilly. So we'll take you through what you need to know coming up. For now, Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The suspect accused of shooting at a Secret Service agent at the White House Correspondents' Dinner is due to make his first court appearance today.
U.S. President Donald Trump, who attended the event, was asked by CBS's 60 Minutes on Sunday if he was the intended target of the shooting.
I don't know. It sounded to me, I read a manifesto. He's radicalized. He was a Christian, a believer, and then he became an anti-Christian, and he had a lot of change. He's been going through a lot based on what he wrote. His brother complained about him, and I think reported him to the police, and his sister likewise complained about him. His family was very concerned. He was probably a pretty sick guy.
The suspect fired at a Secret Service agent inside the Washington Hotel, which was hosting the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Trump, the First Lady, and top White House officials were rushed out by Secret Service agents. U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche told NBC on Sunday he believes the suspect was targeting members of Trump's administration, including the president. And the suspect's been identified as 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen of California. He's scheduled to appear in Washington federal court today. He's expected to be charged with assault on a federal officer and using a firearm during a crime of violence. Allen is a part-time teacher and video game developer. Officials say he sent a manifesto to family members before the attack, saying he planned to target the president and members of his administration. And CTV's Scott Hurst has been following the story and joins us live with more. So what else do we know about the investigation? First off, Scott.
Nathan, good afternoon. The investigation is taking place on multiple fronts. Of course, there's the investigation into the incident and the apparent suspect, but also likely lots of scrutiny over the potential security incident. That'll be scrutinized significantly as well. But first and foremost, let's talk about the suspect, as you mentioned, expected to be in court later this afternoon. We're also awaiting an update from the White House press secretary. That's likely to happen in the next hour, so we should begin to know much more about the suspect, as you said, identified as 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen. Since the incident Saturday night, investigators have been pouring into the history of the 31-year-old California man, trying to determine, of course, an immediate motive, but also diving into the personal and political leanings, searching a family home, interviewing family members and neighbors in that California neighborhood, and also scouring his online presence as chaos ensued, as you're seeing from the video when shots rang out Saturday night outside the ballroom where the White House Correspondents' Dinner was taking place. Guests taking cover under tables as a man armed with guns and knives stormed the lobby outside the dinner, where the U.S. president and many members of his administration were in attendance. Now, Secret Service quickly rushed out the president and the First Lady, as well as other top officials, including Vice President J.D. Vance. The president was initially held in a secure suite at the hotel before returning to the White House at the suggestion of the Secret Service and holding an impromptu press conference at the time. Here's more from what the U.S. president had to say then.
A man charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons, and he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service, and they acted very quickly. One officer was shot, but saved by the fact that he was wearing obviously a very good bulletproof vest. He was shot from very close distance with a very powerful gun.
Nathan, as I mentioned, of course, besides the main investigation into the motive and into the suspect and the court proceedings that will follow that, likely a lot of scrutiny, investigations and hearings into the security incident. As we know, this is the third incident since 2024 that the president had been under threat by an attacker in his immediate vicinity, Nathan.
All right, CTV's Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
The Toronto Tempo are holding their media day ahead of the start of the WNBA preseason this week. Let's listen in live.
And I mean, she's also just a great coach before that. So to have a coach like that, have that much trust in you, I mean, it's great.
Hi, Sharina at CBC Sports. The team's made up of a lot of internationals, and as someone who's an international and we've played, how does that help the culture and the identity of your team as it continues to build and grow?
I mean, I think it's just nice to have a bunch of different cultures. I always love having different cultures on teams, learning about different people. Obviously, it also helps that we've played against each other on the international stage because we have that many internationals. So that's always cool. Like, there's some type of familiarity there. And then they're just great people.
Really quick follow-up. Have you tried poutine yet?
Nah.
Because Kiki didn't know what that was.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I don't think y'all will get me with that.
Hi, Niara. Zophie Sheikh with Raptors Republic. You just spoke about the fact that you feel like you're going to have a greater role with this team, or at least a larger role. Being around Sandy, being around the system and having familiarity with it, how ready do you feel now to take on an increased role, a leadership role, and kind of be one of those players who's going to leave an impact or fingerprints on this team?
Yeah, definitely very ready. Obviously, it's helped that I know the system. Like I said, it's been my whole pro career with Sandy and Olaf, so that always helps, and I know the way they want to play. So that just gives me as a player more confidence.
Inka Jess, she's for Sports Media. What's one thing about joining an expansion team that surprised you in a good way?
I mean, it's just cool. I feel like there's a lot of things that surprised me in a good way. I mean, obviously, being so welcomed by the whole country of Canada, that's really cool. I wasn't really surprised by it, but it's like, it was a nice, like, little addition to have that, and people being so excited for this expansion team. So, yeah.
Hi, Ian Finlayson with Raptors Republic. Talked a lot about your familiarity with the system. How much have your teammates kind of looked to you that are less familiar with it, kind of for pointers and guidance and helping them acclimatize? And has that helped you kind of build chemistry with some of your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I feel like there's a couple of people that have that oh my God, that's a really hard word to pronounce. My German accent is about to come out. That word you just said. Especially, I mean, the Australians on the team, Izzy, me. So it's been kind of not easy, but I feel like there's been a kind of easier, like in practice, it's not as hard to kind of get into a flow, especially because it's basketball at the end of the day. So, but it's been nice to be able to like help players out because in the past I've kind of been on a different side. So it's nice when like somebody asks me something and I know the answer. It's always nice.
Hi, Scott Campsell from The Score. Back at training camp, you were talking about just ways in which Kia has kind of tried to help the team, integrate. You mentioned the streaming services. Just wanted to follow up and see, how are you doing with that? And has any of your other teammates reached out to you, now that you're the streaming service expert?
Right. Yeah, they actually made a whole plan for us. But at the end of the day, I didn't really need it because I figured out I could just attach my HDMI cord to my iPad and use a VPN. So that was I gave that advice to my teammates. So yeah, I've been doing that mostly, but now I have a Crave membership for like 3 months, so I'm gonna use it.
You're all set. So do you feel like that's something that maybe is kind of bonding the team together? Just a lot of, you guys are all in a new place, except for Kia, obviously. Just, trying to figure things out, the little differences?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, overall, it's really similar, to be honest. And I feel like, especially because we have so many internationals, it's so normal for us to be in a different country. A lot of players play overseas, so it's kind of like being overseas a little bit. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always funny, like when you find something small and it's like, oh yeah, you had the same issue.
Jessica here from CTV Toronto. Training camp at any given time is going to be busy, but this training camp in particular, because it's an expansion team, feels like a lot. How do you kind of quiet the extra outside noise and focus on basketball and focus on building that culture and that connection with the people around you? Because it's new for everybody. We're coming together in what is going to be, a historic moment as we head into the preseason game on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, just showing up every day and practicing, taking every day for what it is. And trying to get better every day. Really, I feel like we've been doing a great job as a team. I mean, obviously the coaching staff of just staying in the moment and figuring out as we go. Awesome. Thank you.
Toronto Senator Nayara Sabali getting settled in the city as we get excited about the beginning of the new WA team. You heard Jessica Smith there ask her question. We got the preseason game on Wednesday, and then the very first regular season game is May 8th. We'll certainly have more from that news conference a little later in the newscast. Sure is an exciting time here in Toronto.
Well, to other news, the Prime Minister's announced Canada's very first sovereign wealth fund. The Canada Strong Fund will launch with an initial investment of $25 billion. The money, in partnership with the private sector, will go towards what are being called nation-building projects. They include things like infrastructure, mining, clean energy, and manufacturing. It also includes a retail investment product, meaning Canadians can invest some of their savings into the fund with their initial invested capital protected. It will have a mandate to deliver market-rate returns for Canadians.
We turn now to the war in the Middle East. Iran has reportedly offered to end its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz without addressing U.S. concerns over its nuclear program. Shipping traffic in the waterway remains snarled due to Iranian restrictions and the U.S. naval blockade on Iranian ports. Sources say Iran has agreed to remove its restrictions in exchange for the U.S. lifting its blockade. The new Iranian proposal, which does not address Iran's nuclear program, has reportedly been passed to the U.S. by Pakistan. A fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran remains in place. However, this weekend, U.S. President Donald Trump abruptly canceled plans for his top envoys to travel to Pakistan for negotiations.
Meanwhile, Israel is continuing its bombing campaign in Lebanon during the ceasefire. The Israeli military continues to conduct strikes in the south, where its troops are occupying a strip of territory. Now, Israel's attacked what it says are Hezbollah targets in an eastern valley. It's the first time the area has been struck since the truce came into effect on April 16th. The ceasefire has reduced the pace of attacks, but has not stopped the two sides from exchanging fire.
Well, whether you've been outside today or you're simply peeking out the window, I think we can all agree that it's a pretty nice start to this new week. And already, temperature-wise today, we are warmer than when we peaked yesterday. So yesterday, we were just shy of 15 degrees. We're at 16 right now. It's a lovely, seasonably warm day. Here's the thing, though. The final days of April are going to start to cool down a little bit. And dare I say, it could be a chilly start to May. Not only that, but we've got some active weather to talk about starting tomorrow and continuing into the day on Wednesday. We'll give you an idea of how much rain is in the forecast this time when CTV News at Noon returns. Stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Live in downtown Toronto this hour, Toronto's brand new WNBA team, the Tempo, are holding their news conference. Kiki Rice and some others on deck. Let's listen some more.
To be coached by and to be led by some, former players, which is really special for us.
Hey, Kai Gamage, Sportsnet. Coming from this one's for Kiki. Coming from a program like UCLA and being, a consistent contender, you're in the spotlight. How do those experiences, having won a championship and being around the limelight for a while, how does that kind of dictate how you take on this whole Tempo experience, being in the spotlight here in Toronto?
Yeah, I think for me personally, coming from UCLA, I feel like I've had a lot of reps and a lot of time to just get used to, things like this, media, being, having a lot of attention, having a spotlight, like you said. And I think just the comfortability in that area and knowing that, at the end of the day, just coming back to it's all about basketball. It's all about how you can help lead an organization, how you can help get, your teammates to better places. And I think, that's something that I've had a lot of opportunity to do over these past 4 years in college, and just excited to be able to do that here now in Toronto.
Hi, Shireen Ahmed, CBC Sports. Monica and Sandy talked about how Slum and Marina are like leaders within camp. Can you talk a little bit about their influence on you coming into a new team? They have experience internationally and in the W. So could you talk a little bit about what that's meant to you and the biggest takeaways from their leadership?
Honestly, it's been huge. I know after every possession I'm on the court, I'm like, Slim, should I do that or should I do this? And she's always like, nah, do this, do that. And I'm just like, all right, perfect. And she's, breaking it down and, helping me just see the game in a different way and adapting to the pace and the physicality. I mean, her and Marina both have been super helpful. And I think just the biggest thing I've taken away from both of them is honestly just how to lead. I mean, they're great leaders. I mean, it's only been a few days, like a week or so, but just their leadership and how important it's been and how effective it's been. It's just, on all fronts, it's been super helpful.
Hi, this is for both of you. Zophie Sheikh with Raptors Republic. Obviously, coming from programs where you spent a lot of time and developed as leaders and being the players that maybe your teammates look to and can have that vocal kind of presence, how do you balance that and trying to be that player still with also kind of being rookies again and being the ones that are asking the questions, but also still wanting to have your voice out there and leave your fingerprints? How do you strike that balance between those two things?
Yeah, it definitely is a little bit different. I feel like we're freshmen again all over, so definitely a new experience. But I think we have an environment on this team where anyone's allowed to speak up. You know, we want to create an environment, a culture where people are inspired to lead, to speak, and obviously there are going to be natural leaders, people with experience who are going to step up right away. But that doesn't mean that just because you don't have a ton of experience, you know, playing on the court or playing in the W doesn't mean that you don't have a very valid perspective. So it's just finding that balance and also recognizing that we have some really veteran players on this team who have a ton of experience. So for us rookies and all the younger players, just looking up to that, taking in everything that they're saying and really valuing all the opinions and perspectives.
Yeah, and it's also just a basketball thing. Like, when you're on the court, you're talking to your teammates, I don't want Slim or Marina to get hit with a hard screen, things like that. So I think just being in the forward position, I think that communication offensively and defensively is huge, regardless of, what the age may be.
Marley Dickinson, Blog TO. This is a question for the both of you. I know it's been a super busy month. What's it been like, coming into a new country, and what are some Canadian quirks or things that you've instantly noticed?
Yeah, definitely a lot of change. I think for both of us, this is when we moved here a little bit over a week ago. This is our first time in the city, in Toronto, so definitely a lot of change. But honestly, it's been really great. We've been able to explore a little bit, walk around, check out some of the spots out here. I would say one thing that I've had to get used to is the new grocery stores and stores. So I was telling some people I first came here, I was looking for a CVS, I was looking for a Target, and usually they have those in every corner in the States, but not really around here. So I've learned that Farm Boy and some other places are equivalents. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think the biggest adjustment for me has been the traffic. I was not used to that, but just learning how to navigate the city and the bike lanes. There are a lot of bikers and pedestrians, just being hyper aware of those things. I think that's been the biggest adjustment for me.
Hi, Kiki Tioni, Ian Finlayson with Raptors Republic. The beginning of a new franchise is something that's often reflected back on, years down the line in documentaries, books. Are you guys able to feel the kind of gravity of this moment now?
Yeah, I would honestly say it's an incredible opportunity. It's, it's not very often that you get to be part of the first team in an organization and the first WNBA team in a country. So I think we're really excited about that. You can feel the energy in the city. I feel like we've received a lot of excitement. A lot of people are telling us how excited they are for us to get out there and be on the court. And I know a lot of people behind the scenes have put in a ton of work for the team to get to this point and to, finally have players and be able to play a game. So definitely is really exciting. Yeah.
All right, I got to say, so much fun when you hear these players in Toronto for the first time from the Tempo talking about their experiences, how they're fitting in. But I got to say, Toronto, of course, to me, the best city in the world. However, you want the weather to be good when these new players come to town so that they can say, oh, yeah, the weather is good here in Toronto, too. Good impression.
It's been great the past couple of days. I've already noticed the traffic, okay, but really nice to see. We're getting to know these players as they prepare to hit the court on Wednesday in preseason action. It's such an exciting time. And, yeah, they've only been here a week, but hopefully they already feel at home.
I hope so. And, yeah, pressure's on from Mother Nature, right? We got to impress the new players. And today we have a beautiful sunny scene. I've been watching that live shot down by the water today. A lot of flies, a lot of midges already, but hey, that's spring in Toronto as well. If you're lucky enough to live by the lake, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's get to your forecast. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Nice start to the day today as well. Beautiful blue sky. Savor this, enjoy it, because it's not going to be quite as dry, sunny, or blue sky tomorrow. We've got some wet weather on the way, so that's what we're going to begin with. A look at the active weather part of our weather story on the satellite and radar right now. Nothing much to show you. We've got a little bit of cloud just starting to drape in, high-level cloud, but I'll step aside so you can see what's brewing stateside. It's been very active, and yes, that active weather is headed our way too. So for tomorrow, expect more in the way of rain showers. There's a risk of thunderstorms as well. And over the next 3 days here, we're going to see some measurable rainfall once again in some areas, particularly northern and eastern parts of Ontario. Timing-wise, so today is dry into tomorrow morning. There's 5 a.m. Already seeing a few rain showers. Into the afternoon, we've got a risk of thunderstorms as well, morning and afternoon, technically speaking. And then heading into Wednesday, Another generally cloudy and unsettled day. Chance of showers going to be there in the morning and the afternoon too. Again, not heavy amounts of rainfall for us by Wednesday, but quite a bit of rain expected from Kingston over toward Ottawa and in through portions of Quebec. Temperature-wise, we're at 16 degrees right now at Pearson Airport. A little cooler by the lake. You'll get used to us saying that now as we enter the warmer period, the warmer season. 17 degrees is what we're forecasting. We're well on our way to that. Here's your evening and overnight at a glance. Lovely evening. We're getting closer to patio weather, I think. Overnight temperature is going to be about 10 degrees. And then tomorrow, we're going to hang on to some seasonal warmth. But again, it's the conditions that are going to change for tomorrow. Later in the week, the temperatures are going to change. So we start to cool down as early as Wednesday, but you are really going to notice it Thursday, overnight into Friday, the temperature near freezing, below freezing Friday and overnight into Saturday. Friday is the first day of May, and while we are going to welcome it with some sunshine, these temperatures are a little cool for this time of year. That's your look at the forecast. Stay with us, CTV News. We'll be right back.
After a slow start, the Blue Jays have won 5 of their past 6 games and begin a series with the Boston Red Sox tonight.
And it's hit well to right field. It is gone!
Jesus Sanchez hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 6th in the series finale against Cleveland yesterday. That would be the difference as the Jays ended up beating the Guardians 4-2. First pitch for tonight's game against the Red Sox is set for just after 7 p.m. at Rogers Center. Dylan Cease is due to start.
Pickering will vote on a housing development plan next month, which could transform the city's landscape over the next 25 years. Mayor Kevin Ash says the plan could see homes built for more than 70,000 people. However, a local First Nation says there has not been meaningful consultation about the plan. Advocacy group Stop Durham Sprawl has also raised concerns about the plan, including its costs and environmental impact.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, a public hearing is being held today on the Ford government's education bill. We'll have more on the discussion when we return.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A public hearing is being held today on the Ford government's bill that will result in sweeping changes to Ontario's education system. Bill 101 would limit school board sizes, cap the amount paid to trustees, and establish a CEO role at the top employee at a school board. The legislation has been criticized by the opposition, who say it does little to help students. Ontario NDP education critic Chandra Prasma spoke alongside grassroots parents groups ahead of today's hearing.
The government has limited committee hearings to a single day, which means that the vast majority of public voices and perspectives on this bill will not be heard by the committee. Students, parents, teachers and education workers, principals, trustees, disability and equity advocates, and community members have all expressed concerns about Bill 101 and its centralization of power in the hands of a minister who is also giving himself sweeping immunity, about new layers of bureaucracy, and about the bill's attack on transparency, accountability, and community voices.
It's a cruel irony that the, quote, Putting Student Achievement First Act, I mean, what a title for a bill. How many times have we heard Paul Calandra say putting student achievement first? The more he says it, the more false it is.
Ontario Education Minister Paul Calandra has said the intention of the bill is to dramatically reduce the role of trustees and refocus their jobs around representing parents and students.
King Charles III will arrive in the U.S. later today to begin a 4-day state visit. The trip begins with a private meeting with Donald Trump and will also include an address to Congress, as well as a lavish dinner at the White House for the monarch and the Queen. The visit marks the 250th anniversary of American independence from British rule. But it also comes at a time of friction between the two close allies over the war in Iran. Trump has voiced displeasure with 10 Downing Street for failing to support the war. The UK government hopes the King's visit will help improve the relationship. And you're watching CTV News at noon. Stay with us.
Well, I'm just going to say it. I think, as far as I'm concerned, maybe you'd agree this is the best day of the week weather-wise.
I think it might be, even though we're eyeing down May. It's in sight for this week. Arrives on Friday, but yes, I think this is the one that we've got both the sunshine, the dry weather, and of course the nice, comfortable temperatures. Things are going to change as this week goes on, but overnight tonight remains mild. 10 is our forecast low. That's above seasonal. 6 is the average temperature this time of year. But even overnight tonight, that's when we could start to see a few showers make their way into the GTA. Tomorrow's just one of those unsettled days where we've got chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms. It is still going to be mild, at least 17 degrees is what we're forecasting. And this time we're going to have a southerly wind, so that's pleasant at least too. Wednesday, a little more cloud cover. Chance of showers is there again, but notice how the temperature dips. So 11 degrees, the forecast high for both Wednesday and Thursday. It actually gets cooler than that. Friday, as we welcome May, daytime high in the single digits, overnight low potentially below freezing, and then into the weekend, chance of showers not quite as mild as last weekend either. That's the weather for now. Nathan and Michelle.
Thank you, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.